Welcome everybody to Monday night's empowerment session. Time to learn about PowerChi, and it's more than just for metabolism, and that's what we're going to talk about. So let's jump right in and let's hear what Michelle Stewart has to say about PowerChi and how it's impacted her.
Hi everyone. I wanted to do a video for Val about PowerChi today, but the only time I had was on my walk. So here we go. I'm going to take you on my walk with me, with my dog. That's why there's a lot of jerking here. So PowerChi, I have been using that faithfully probably since April, May. And in that time, I have lost between 40 and 50 pounds. Now, PowerChi, in my opinion, is a big part of that. It's not the reason, I didn't use PowerChi to lose weight. And I say in even one of my other videos, because I am doing a weight loss class, no supplement, no food that even has been shown to be metabolism regulating can outpace a poor diet. But when you combine a good diet, whole foods, and you combine ingredients that help regulate the metabolism like PowerChi, it is a powerful combination. So I'm in a group where people are losing a lot of weight doing intermittent fasting and low carb. And you're going to stall. If you do that and you're losing a lot of weight, you will stall. But what I have found is that with PowerChi, I don't stall as much as others do. In fact, I actually don't think a stall is really a bad thing. I think of it more like, this is how I play little tricks with my mind, is I think of it more as there's some remodeling work going on the inside. And so a stall is just fine. And with PowerChi, what I'm noticing is that even though I might stall, I'm not stalling as long as others, but also I'm just noticing that it's changing the composition of my body. I don't know if that makes sense. It's kind of hard to put that into words, but I am loving PowerChi. So a lot of people might take it just for energy because it does have things in there to boost the energy. But I know the Apple Cider Vinegar, the Beet Root, it's so good for your body, for, blood sugar and so many things. So I'm loving it. What I've discovered, and this is really important, I probably should have started out with this, is that when I first started taking it, I was taking it with food. And I wasn't noticing a big difference. So, I don't know, somebody said something or some idea popped into my head to do it on an empty stomach. Game changer for me. I mean, I love taking it on my on an empty stomach, and I take 3 in the morning. So anyway, this is about 3 minutes. It might be too long. Anyway, I love it. Try it.
I absolutely love this from Michelle because how she, number one, she talked about how she didn't necessarily take it to lose weight. And then her remark about remodeling. It is such an insightful thought and remark. And as we get in and look at the ingredients and address this, I think you guys will understand why I love that Michelle picked up on that and pointed that out. So when we look at PowerChi, there's several ingredients. And there's a few more than this, but I'm looking at some of the basics. And we've talked about a few of these. Rooibos, you guys have learned about the antioxidant properties and the different minerals and vitamins in there. You've got your nopal, which is going to be blood sugar regulating, is one of the things it's really known for. Yerba mate, which you know is in your cinnamon mate, it's in your complete, and it's got the natural source with all the checks and balances of caffeine that's in there. So it's in a way that even people like myself who are caffeine sensitive can take it without any issues. And of course, there's green tea. We've got our special bacteria in there, Propionibacterium freudenreichi, which has to do with your B12 production. So it's going to give energy. Ashwagandha, you guys know, is an adaptogen, and it has a really neat affinity to, it's kind of known to help drop cortisol, which means it's going to be really, really beneficial for anyone that has put on weight tied to stress. It also helps with blood sugar. The Coleus forskolii is a plant that I really love because it supports the thyroid. And thyroid is very involved when it comes to regulation of our weight, along with glandular issues and things like that. Coleus forscoli also works with digestion, and it does tie in with weight loss. And I love seeing pictures of all these plants. They are just so beautiful to me. And knowing that we've got these in that are full whole plant extracts, and knowing that, I don't know, to me, it's part of the beauty of the plant that we're getting it as well. I just think it's neat to be able to see where everything comes from. And there is a lot of gardening and stuff that runs in my family, a lot with flowers and stuff. In fact, my grandmother was renowned for all the flowers, irises and everything that she would have. And my dad's carried that on, my brothers carried that on, and my mother's referred to it really neat. She calls it color therapy. And so I think it's neat for you guys to see the colors that end up into our products. Now, red beet root powder and extract is a major ingredient in this, and it's really important because of one of the things up here, and we're going to refer to this a couple times. It is an excellent, and I do mean excellent, plant source for potassium. And we're going to tie into potassium specifically here in a little bit. Ties in for your B9 folate, which of course we look at as important whenever we're pregnant. Manganese, which is also the element that they call the mothering element. It's something that's there in red raspberry leaf. And they say that if you're low in manganese, then you will not, that mothering instinct doesn't kick in. And so when you have it where it's supposed to be, then that's going to be where you hang on to that baby and you do everything to protect it. If it's low, then you're not as able to be as attentive. Also works with iron and helping that get in for the body, and vitamin C. The plant, the red beet root powder has astringent properties, which means it tightens and tones, which means it's going to help with inflammation. Now, liver congestion. When Michelle was talking about people stalling out or plateauing, it often happens because the liver has gotten overwhelmed from working on the breaking down of all the toxins, or at least dealing with them, and fat and all that. As it breaks down, the liver has to work with that, and it can get kind of backed up and because it's still doing all your normal everyday activities. Well, red beet root powder helps the liver to get rid of that congestion. Also, it's going to come and help with digestion. It works on blood flow. It works on blood flow because it helps to increase naturally nitric oxide to a certain degree, which means it's going to release that constriction that's in the circulatory system. And it does help with increased exercise performance. So all this is from the red beet root powder that's in there. Apple cider vinegar powder. Guys, apple cider vinegar, as in the raw unpasteurized apple cider vinegar, which is the type that we have in here, this powder from this, is loaded with potassium again, and trace minerals. In fact, with all my children when I was pregnant, apple cider vinegar with a little bit of honey and water is what I drank. And I really in particular craved it with my oldest son, which I really think somewhere deep down inside, I knew how active of a young man he was going to be with all the BMX biking, the rock climbing and everything. And he just knew he needed those minerals, and it really made for strong bones. Apple cider vinegar works on metabolism and digestion. Because of all the minerals, it helps to activate those enzymes. And we've talked about the importance of minerals with that activation like that. Also, skin health. Apple cider vinegar is very good for skin health. Also getting rid of your aches and pains. So you'll hear people that might have joint pain, or they've been diagnosed with one of the arthritis or something like that. Then apple cider vinegar is something they use. Now, nausea and food poisoning. Pardon me there, swallowed wrong. So when my kids were little, and I did this before I even had children, I was taught that if we had any type of nauseousness, or if we'd eaten something that didn't sit well with us, I would take 2 tablespoons of the raw unpasteurized apple cider vinegar with what they call the mother in it. And I would match that up with equal parts 2 tablespoons of raw honey. And then I would stir that up, mix it with 8 ounces of water, and sip on it. And it works so quickly to work with nausea or food poisoning. So that tells you how quickly it gets in to help the body get rid of toxins. I will tell you that's tied back to the potassium in there. One of the reasons it does that. So before we go on and learn more about that, let's look at this testimony that we have from Shauna. And I just love this because it's just amazing with all the different benefits she's seen. She says, I have been asked about my experience with the PowerChi, and it is more than weight loss for me. Yes, I'm down 16 pounds, which was confirmed at my surgeon's checkup. And then she says, you all know how the scales in the doctor's office are rigged, LOL. The really cool things for me are, I take less adaptable because I'm more chill and relaxed. She has more mental clarity and focus. No cravings for sugar, and it does not even taste good to her anymore. She has less salt cravings, which she always had in the past. She eats less at a time and feels better overall. Weight loss for her meant new jean size, and she literally had just bought jeans in September at a smaller size. And this is a testimony that she had early in the spring. And then she says, my lymphatics are actually moving much better, and my physical therapist is pretty happy about that. And so she says, PowerChi is so much more than weight loss, and she uses it with her complete every morning. So look at these other bonus and benefits that came with it, because when we look at the ingredients and what they do in this combination, it helps you to understand that is more than just supporting metabolism. So I want to talk to you about the role of potassium. So we come here, and one of the things it does is it helps control the internal fluid of the cells. It also regulates heart muscle action. It helps to carry enzyme reactions throughout the body. Potassium is very, very important. In fact, another thing that's high naturally in the potassium is our vital. So I like to have something that gets in and supports this potassium balance in the system. And in fact, if we look down here, my quote from my book that I've got here, The Ultimate Healing System, which is a book I refer to a lot. And he is talking about the potassium he felt is one of the most important and least understood minerals. He says it is an electrolyte which carries the electrical acupuncture chi energy that nurtures and activates muscles and organs. It's also an alkaline base forming mineral. So very, very important. What else does it do? It helps, just like it says there, but it also helps to regulate your blood pH. Your blood pH has to stay within a certain range or you die. So it's very important to help balance and keep that blood pH critical. Also important for glycogen formation in the liver, muscles, and cartilage. This is pretty neat when we talk about tying in with exercise. So it helps to assure elasticity of muscles. Let's think about this. One of the ways that people get injured is by the muscles not being able to stretch and come back. You know, I've run into people that have had Achilles tendons tears. I've seen a lot of those lately, and that really should not be happening. So water's always been a component of that, but potassium is a component for that as well. Also helps your kidneys to eliminate waste matter. So what happens, and I think I might have this in here, is potassium actually helps the toxins that are in the system to go into solution so that you can get them out of the body. So it's very, very important. So when Michelle talked about remodeling at a deeper level, she was spot on. Also helps to strengthen the heart. It feeds the entire endocrine system. Helps with adaptation to climate and weather changes. Supports mentality and productivity. So notice there is a difference. You can feel good, but not necessarily feel like getting out and doing things. And that is something I've heard from people before with the PowerChi, is all of a sudden they felt like they wanted to exercise. And that was something that they hadn't experienced in the past. It is one of the main constituents of soft tissue. And right here is what I was talking about, puts toxins into solution so they get flushed out of the body. Now, I've got a few listed over here because I thought you guys might find them interesting. Some of the deficiency signs for potassium. So you can have your high blood pressure being out of, you shouldn't have high blood pressure, but if you do in that diastolic or the lower number is off, that can be a sign that the potassium's off. A general weakened heart. Potassium is very, very important for the heart. Swelling in your legs, a lot of, in particular, people will notice that. Believe it or not, milk allergies can show up as an issue with potassium deficiency. Sciatica on the right side of the body can be tied back to the potassium being out of balance. And I thought this one was kind of interesting. It's not necessarily a sign of getting older. Having that flabby excess skin hanging over the eyes, which a lot of people have those surgeries to cut that skin and basically do an eyelid lift, that can be tied back to the potassium being deficient. And this is a very important one. When your body just feels heavy and tired, and it is literally a huge effort to move, these can all be signs of potassium being low. So this is a case where the potassium, which is in that red beet root and in the apple cider vinegar, can help to counter some of that. So right now, let's hear what Wendy has to say.
Everyone, so I want to just give you a really brief experience about my being diagnosed with diabetes a few years ago. It was about 2.5 years ago, and my A1C was really bad. It was like in the 12s. It was really bad. It's supposed to be in the 6s or lower. Anyway, I wanted to try and treat it with Sol. Sol had done an amazing job getting my chronic fatigue under control and in remission. So I thought, well, let's try it. So I didn't go on the meds my doctor wanted me on, but I went back on my full Sol regimen, but I added PowerChi this time. I had really never tried it before, and it had the apple cider vinegar, the yerba mate, the nopal, all these things great for your blood sugar. So I thought, well, let's add it. And I changed my diet a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit. Exercised a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit. So I did a lot of little bit things. But the thing I did do was 100% Sol regimen every single day, including the PowerChi. 6 months later, I went back in. I brought my A1C back into the 6s. The doctor literally walked in the room clapping, and she says, I've never had a patient reverse their diabetes like this. So she says, do you still want to take the blood sugar management class? And I said, can I teach it? And she says, yes, if you do this for all my patients, you can teach it. Of course, she was kidding. She wouldn't let me do them. But anyway, that was my experience. It worked, and I'm incredibly grateful for these tools. So, bye.
So I love this testimony because it's showing the benefits also of all the blood sugar regulation. That is such an amazing testimony in that amount of time to get those numbers scaled in and back where they're healthy and safe. So blood sugar is such an important part. It's going to tie into that ability to focus that Shauna was noticing. When your blood sugar is balancing, you're going to see that cutting the sugar cravings, with other people have noticed. You just have general energy. We talk about we're feeling tired and heavy, and that counters too. That can also tie back to that blood sugar being balanced.
Hey, everyone.
So my question here is, are the scales tipped in your favor? So when people come to see me for weight loss, one of the big things I talk to them about is, the body will balance out when you give it the right tools if it's ready and healthy enough to do that. So what does that look like? Well, we're talking about body intelligence. You may come in wanting to lose weight, and we may put in that PowerChi, but instead of weight loss, you may find your blood sugar balances. Well, that's actually going to be more important in keeping sustainable the body to be able to go into metabolism later. We have to trust, and really we have no choice. The important thing really is not to get frustrated at your body. Your body intelligence is off the charts. It is divine. You just need to listen to it and trust that it doesn't make mistakes, and it really doesn't. So a lot of you know how I talk about addressing the roots, and then we'll have the healthy tree, the trunk, the branches, the leaves grow and come out of that. So if we trust that even though we're giving the body maybe a regimen that might possibly work with metabolism, but instead we see other benefits first, then we're trusting that the body is working on the roots where it needs the help first, instead of just coming in and getting green leaves. For instance, let's think of this tree, and let's just think that those leaves were really actually kind of brown and yellow. If we came in and spray painted them green, have we really fixed the tree? Or have we just artificially given it the appearance temporarily that has been corrected? In the long run, aren't we going to be happier if we fertilize and feed and water the roots of the tree so that we get long, nice, supple, sustaining leaves that stay on that tree for a longer period of time. Of course, that's the direction that ultimately want to go. What happens is we often get in our own way because we get impatient and we think we know what the body is supposed to do. So I always tell people that we focus on health gain first. Weight balancing comes in second. And as just like you guys have heard me teach that when I talk about cleansing, we're coming in and we're supporting the health first. And then if the body is underweight or overweight, then we work on, and the body will naturally go towards that direction. But we have to make certain that the tree and the roots are healthy to start with. So what I'm challenging you to do is to let go of what you think the body should do and trust that it will do what it needs to do. In the long run, that's what's going to make for that healthier body. That's the focus and mind shift or paradigm shift that I'm asking you to do. And really when it comes to anything, when we're working and focusing with soul, because remember, the adaptogens get to that base. The soul products get to that base. Look what Wendy did. She went on a full soul protocol and she did a little bit of exercising, a little bit of lifestyle changes, but in essence, she fed the roots and the tree corrected on its own. So this is a story about Troy. So Troy, I don't even remember how many years ago, guys. Let's say 15, 18, somewhere in there. Most of you know he's also a bounty hunter. He did a bounty hunt. And when he turned around, after he caught the guy, turns out he was in a meth lab. And so that exposure to that made him ill for a long time. And it affected his immune system and everything. But also, combined with that, literally in that about a year before that, we determined there was a lot of heavy metal issues, and he had worked on starting to get some of that removed. But before it could be removed, we realized there's 3 different metals the military put in his mouth, and literally was causing issues with the kidney. And he had a cyst grow in his kidney to where it was a 2-liter size cyst. You could see it across the room. So we had all of this happening in the same time frame. To make a long story short, they drained the cyst. They couldn't believe that it was non-cancerous. Well, I knew everything that we'd been doing in the meantime. Now we fast forward all these years till we get to soul. Now remember, you guys heard about how the potassium and the red beet root helps, well, the potassium helps with temperature regulation and productivity. Well, Troy was having a lot of issues. He could change temperatures, like you go to a hot climate, but he couldn't regulate very well. It was when he got in hot areas that he couldn't regulate that temperature. Plus, the heavy metals had affected the kidneys enough to where he was having challenges balancing his blood pressure. Well, we got it corrected with the vital and the adaptable, but then he had some other health things came up, and it triggered and pushed when we were working with the TBI, his blood pressure shot up again, and it wasn't responding. So on a whim, we'll say, and just knowing what the ingredients are, I just thought, you know what, let's try some of the PowerChi with you. And he, he's a big guy. I started with a couple, but I ended up settling on 5 is what he takes. He takes 5 in the morning, and within 24 hours, his blood pressure started regulating because they were throwing a couple different medicines at him. It wasn't doing it. And the PowerChi was what brought it into scale, along with, he was already on the vital and adaptable. And after having that PowerChi in there for like, I don't know, a month, he was able to go off the medication with the doctor's blessing. And the PowerChi has kept that regulated. So we have since had some other people that have had that same type of story with the PowerChi. And if you look at these ingredients we just talked about, it makes sense now. But it helped with the blood pressure and bring it into it's in a beautiful, beautiful zone. So as you guys know, I'm going to want to focus on the roots. So I love the Bella Health package. It's got those basics that we all started with. And I'm going to tell you, if your digestive tract is off, you are not going to get as supported or long lasting, or maybe even your body won't want to go into weight loss if the digestive tract is not supported first. So getting in there, supporting with the vital for helping with the pH balance and this kidney support and liver support and cleaning out the blood. We've got the cinnamate, again, supporting that liver. As you heard me talk about, that liver is very important when it comes to weight balancing and weight loss. Anytime we're trying to break down toxins and get them out, the more clean and supported that liver is, the more efficient everything's going to run. The probiotic, because we've got that good gut bacteria in the enzymes for helping to digestion, but also helping to calm the system. You have that in place, to me, then becomes a, why not step in and add the PowerChi? You may add the Soul Complete, a couple other things, but to me, I like to have that baseline in there to make certain that people are supported with a well-rounded approach when it comes to supporting metabolism and, like I said, weight balancing. So this is the quote I referred to last week, and I wanted to bring this in. Charlotte Gerson was a phenomenal pioneer when it came to alternative health and working with cancer. And she said, "You can't keep one disease and heal two others. When the body heals, it heals everything." So think about all the different benefits that these people have had when we're listening to the different stories and testimonies. Just with coming in, maybe they wanted to focus on blood sugar, or maybe they needed to focus on just being able to focus. Maybe they were working on blood pressure. Maybe they were working on metabolism. But look at the other things that also disappeared along the way. Again, you can't keep one disease and heal two others. I love that. Again, this is the body intelligence in action. So next week, we will be talking about enzymes and how they work to support your digestive tract. So looking forward to that with everybody. All right.